What's going on, guys? Romer the Roamer here with John at Side Hustle Experiment. John was a student of mine a few years ago, and you watched some of my content, and I claimed you as one of the full-time Amazon sellers, one of my first full-time Amazon sellers back in the day. He freed himself from his copywriting job.
Yep,
copywriting job, and he dove in books. No pun intended, but literally dove in some books head first. And now he is supplementing selling books, or actually, I would probably say transitioning to online arbitrage. And so he's the perfect person to talk to about how to transition from book selling to online arbitrage. I know a lot of you guys are probably confused as hell watching my content. I'm talking about online arbitrage a lot. I've been the book guy for the last few years, but I see a lot of potential and opportunity selling other products on Amazon. And I think it's a safe to bet on other products other than books.
Look, grind hard, well done, sir. And welcome to the freaking Well Show. And party central to my well ones. A night of violated hell codes. Dope sells like the charge do, but selling's all about potential.
So the same amount of books were sold in 2001 as 2018, which I look at as a great statistic. But let's be honest, like used books, CDs, and DVDs, there's definitely a concern for maybe that evaporating as all the boomers die. So the boomers going to die soon.
Yeah.
You know, but actually there's a lot of evidence that suggests selling books is going to be good for our whole lifetime. A lot of younger millennials like to, even the generation below us, read a lot of physical books. Anyway, enough about books. Let's talk about OA. John's at 30,000 in sales last 30 days. He did 35,000 strictly OA last Q4, and he just started online arbitrage in Q4 of last year, you said, right? That was kind of the beginning.
I started, right in Q4.
And he did 35,000 right off the bat. That is unheard of with books. You don't hear of people getting started with books and then doing 35,000 in a month. I thought I was a fucking shit when I did 20,000 in books, and it took like a year and a half for me to get that. So John,
I had an optimal textbook season in January, and I think I did like 40. And that was like a crazy textbook season. For me, just like one person like getting game.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm super excited for this textbook season. As long as my Amazon accounts don't get shut down and I keep selling all my online arbitrage stuff, I'll probably do $250,000 this August.
That is awesome.
So maybe at lowest 180,000, but we're already at 140 or 150. So I wouldn't be surprised if we cracked $250,000. But anyway, what advice would you have for a bookseller who's doing 10, 20, 30,000 a month? Maybe they're just doing 5,000 a month and they're not finding that many books. What is the first step they need to take, whether it's education, whether it's action, whether it's, buying a product? Like, what would be the first step you would say to a bookseller specifically to get started with online arbitrage?
So for me, I had a real hard time at first to get started. I thought tactical arbitrage was the route to go. I mean, Seller Amp has really come on the scene like the last, I would say, 8 months-ish. But tactical arbitrage is really the big talk of like, if you were going to get into online arbitrage. I was hardly finding anything. It was a real struggle. But how I actually broke in was selling new DVDs and new CDs and records because I understood those keep it charts the best. And there were some used items that came to my Gaylords that were selling for a lot of money used. So I was like, I wonder if I could find these new on Target and Walmart and Best Buy and all these other places. And sure enough, I was able to. So that was kind of my gateway in. And then from there, I kind of morphed into more apparel. But yeah, so I would say start with what you know. And number two, I would say definitely network and training. I mean, I was really lucky to know like Miles and Warner just from bookselling early on. So they were really great. I could just text them, ask them questions, do that kind of stuff, kind of what you're doing with everyone. So that makes it a lot easier as well.
100%. So you started with, you said media?
Yeah, media.
And you would just look at your sold items that you sold profitably. And
yeah, so I look at that, and then Target actually does a lot of I think it's buy two get one free on media every once in a while. So that is a huge. So you save 33%.
That's huge.
That.
That's huge for this audience. Hopefully, a lot of booksellers still watch my stuff, and they haven't all unsubscribed yet. Raken is actually doing a lot of that too, and I talked to him on the phone. And the most valuable data you have is your own sales data.
Yeah.
And I have so much sales data. I actually have this whole back end system at Restricted Inventory where I can it's so easy to search. I mean, you can do it on Seller Central too, but the software that we've made makes it really easy just to search like a title, and you can see how many times you've sold that title. So like this Campbell biology book with the sunflower in front, I always use it as an example.
Yeah.
I can look, I sold it for $206 and I've sold it for as low as like probably $60. So I can look at every time I sold it. And over the years, I've watched it depreciate in value. So if you've sold something for $80 like 5 times with the same circumstances, with the same data that Keepa is showing right now, it doesn't matter what the fuck Keepa shows. If you know that you've sold it 5 times in the past for $80, who gives a fuck if Keepa says it sells for $4 when you know for sure you've sold it for X amount? So your own sales data is always the best, I would say. So that's cool. That's how you got started. Maybe I should have done more of that at the beginning, but I just dove straight into apparel, clothing, shoes, stuff like that. So you're buying media brand new. Did you find that was faster selling than the used media?
So it was during Q4. I learned the hard way. Like you kind of said at the reading the Keepa charts, there were some charts that looked like it was going to sell much faster than it did, and it didn't. And there were some other charts that looked like I would maybe be able to sell 5, that once it got to the warehouse, everything sold. That's kind of why I like the media space. The Keepa charts kind of suck. They're like so off. Like a lot of them. Like there's just one thing that looks like it sells. I think when you go into the data tab, it shows that it sold 4. Every time I'll sell 10 in a week. Like it just goes quick. And that is, like you said before, that's the best way to know. Like Keepa data is good. You could see it has like a sales rank of 3,000 and it's saying it's only selling 4 a month. Like that doesn't add up at all. So it only really comes with experience from either selling it or just knowing that or just taking the chance of doing a test buy of 5 or 10 and see kind of how it moves.
Yeah. What would you say is the biggest difference from bookselling to online arbitrage?
Definitely capital. I mean, for Gaylords of Books, I was probably spending, I don't know, maybe in a big month, like 6-8 grand. This month, I'm on pace to spend at least 30,000 just in OA products.
Yeah, that's insane for a lot of booksellers to hear that you have to spend that much. So talk a little bit about cash flow. When do you expect to have that back realistically,
Realistically, probably. Well, I was like super lucky because when the restock limits happened, I stopped buying a lot of books. So I just had a ton of capital kind of in the bank. It didn't make sense for me to buy books because I'm smaller, so I didn't really want to merge fulfill and keep doing that and listing on eBay. I couldn't send to FBA, so I just kind of stopped buying books, stockpiled capital. I would say like you kind of get your money back. It's not the 30 days a lot of people talk about. It's probably like 45 to 60. But you're just constantly reinvesting. So how I do it, I take a certain amount of money out of the business every month, and I let the rest of it roll in the business. Because for me, that's the best place where it could be because I could make 10, 20, 30% on it. So it doesn't make sense for me to really take it out. And I do like investment accounts and stuff like that. But
so if you spend 10K on OA products,
yeah,
when would you expect at least for that 10K to be back into your bank account?
Probably all of it, probably like 45, 60 days.
That's
depending
cool.
on the ranks and everything like that. I mean, I'm doing OA to prep too, so I'm buying it. It takes like 3 or 4 days to get to the prep center. Maybe the prep center messes around for 3 or 4 days. Then
you still using Tiger Lily?
Yeah, right. If you use Tiger Lily, your stuff will be there for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, it'll be there by next Q4.
So yeah, I mean, it's going to probably take you 2 to 3 weeks just to get it active prime. So it's something to keep in mind.
Let me share with the audience real quick a website that I recently found. 1 second, guys. I found a website. You know what website I'm talking about? It compares all the prep centers.
Is it a Chris Grant article? It's either that or Go Aura, I think, came out with one.
Let's
recently.
see. Where is it? Online Arbitrage. You know what I did last night?
What?
So I went to KT Hustle's webinar, and I bought his course.
Oh wow! He does wholesale, right?
Yeah, he does online arbitrage and wholesale, but he popped up out of nowhere, and he's been having a lot of success. I love webinars. Anyone that doesn't know what a webinar is basically like you show up for like a free training, and then they sell you on their course at the end. But I love it because it's usually got really good information for free. They usually get you really excited. They tell their story about how they got started. Like there's this whole emotional aspect to a webinar. And then they pitch like, $1,000 course at the end. His was $800, but I was like, fuck it. Like I had no intention on buying it, but after listening, I had him for like 2.5 hours, and I was like, what's the point of listening to this guy talk so much? I've been seeing him on TikTok, and so I bought it. But he had a good recommendation for prep centers. I want to pull this up real quick.
I feel like you always go into those things. You're like, I'm not buying it this time, and then you always walk out the course or whatever.
Yeah, it's just like I'm trying to learn as much as possible, and he's gonna do like 3 million this year. So
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. I wish I could find it. Oh, Prep Center Guide. Okay, boom. Let's see. List of prep centers. It is selleressentials.com. Is that the guy you were talking about?
No, it wasn't that one, but I'll have to check that one out as well.
Yeah, so it's a good he just recommended this website. But if you guys go to selleressentials.com, prep and fulfillment, if you click on prep and fulfillment on their website, FBA prep centers, prep services, they have them for everywhere. But they have a list, and I would still be weary of using any of these prep centers on the list.
Yeah.
I mean, I know these prep center owners. I don't even want to talk trash. I mean, I will talk trash about Tiger Lily because they've done such a terrible job.
Yeah.
But I mean, all these guys are saying they prep in 24 to 48 hours, and I've used at least one of them, and I can say it's not the case. So I'm using a prep center now that I will not share with you guys, but they are prepping extremely fast. If you guys do want a good book prep center, reach out to me or comment below, and I'll hook you up. I will share that one just because they've done you guys can go to myfbaprep.com. That's how I found my book prep center. They're in Pennsylvania. So if you guys want books prepped, I recommend them. But they've been great. They'll MF for you for $1 per unit. And,
wow.
Yeah, his name's Eric. I'll introduce him to anyone who wants. And I didn't know this. He does charge more for OA. I don't use him for OA. I don't even know if he would be a good. Okay, so this is the thing about prep centers. They can prep wholesale good, but they might suck at OA. They can prep books good, but they might suck at OA. So it's all prep centers aren't created equal, and this prep center loves dealing with books, but they don't like OA as much. So I don't send them as much OA, but maybe in the future I will. But it is good to know that if it's not a tax-free state, it doesn't mean that it's not a completely tax-free state. So there's 100% tax-free states, Oregon, Montana, New Hampshire, but there's also partially tax-free states like Pennsylvania. You can do clothing.
Yeah, and, you do grocery.
Yeah, so you can do
vitamin.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, vitamin. A lot of like medical stuff is Tylenol, stuff like that. You don't pay taxes on.
Yeah.
There's some other select categories.
100%. So, well, thanks for coming on. You guys can find Side Hustle Experiment, John. You can find all of his social media. It'll be linked below, his YouTube, Instagram. I don't know if he has TikTok, but if he does, it'll be linked below. And any last words of advice for these booksellers or maybe just people trying to get started with OA?
I would say don't be afraid of the capital, the more capital it takes, and the ROI. It's going to be a real whack in your mind. I remember taking this course that Chris Grant did. It was the OA challenge. And I was like, I'm used to doing books and the OA, the ROI, I just can't wrap my head around it. And he's like, once you start doing OA, you won't care and you'll never go back. And that's the truth. I mean, you are spending more, but it's so much more scalable.
So his
I
name's
mean,
Chris Grant.
yeah, Chris Grant.
Does he use virtual assistants? I'm really trying to find people that, because my problem is like, I don't want to build this business where I'm like the key component to making it work.
Yeah.
But I'm realizing that that's a big what's it called, stipulation, and I'm realizing it's not 100% accurate. And I also realize it doesn't really matter that much because I'm meeting people that are making hundreds of thousands a year, and it's like, if maybe some people are even going to make $1 million a year that I know that are really young, and it's like, if they're making that much, does it matter that they're trading their time for money? And so like, I am still, my brain and thought process still helps a lot with the sourcing side of things. And I don't think that an online arbitrage business will ever be void of that. But I would at least like my team to have the momentum of my action. So like, if I find out that X item's really hot, or this website's really hot, or this coupon code's really good to use, I want to be like feeding my team this information, but I want them to take it and run with it. And so like, it's very important, like you said, to be connected with the community, text people, be part of groups, whatever. And so like, I'm like the captain of the ship. I'm taking all the information, giving it to them. I'm not expecting somebody to replace me yet, but I think as I transition to wholesale and eventually private label in a few years, I mean, I can just build a fucking empire, you know, that will run itself and eventually become a sellable business. But OA, I'm not even fantasizing that OA is going to ever be a sellable business. I think it's just a great way to pump cash, you know, and just
I would agree with you there. I do think there's probably going to be a hybrid model as people grow even more in OA, where it's like you hire like an American and they kind of like, you train them and they kind of work with the VA team, and like you're kind of like hands on.
Yeah. I would also challenge that though, because I know what you're saying. I would say the only thing that would ever make an American better than a virtual assistant is for customer service. That's my current belief right now. And I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but I have a virtual assistant who is like my right-hand man, smart as fuck. I have another one who does all the numbers for me. She's better than any accountant I've ever worked with in America. So like, as far as like management and leading teams, they're completely capable. But I do feel like if you have a business as customer service, they're always going to know if you have VAs working for you, and people just love it or hate it. People have this idea of what a VA is. They're like, oh, they're just using VAs for their customer service, and it leaves a bad taste in their mouth. So if I think if you have a business like, and you do want to hire an American, I feel like, or Canadians are cheaper actually. I feel like customer service is the first thing to do that for, you know. But a lot of Amazon sellers don't have customer service. It doesn't matter.
True.
Anyway, thanks for coming on. We're going to shoot some more videos, so I'll link other videos that I did with John. We're actually going to do a video, Smash or Pass, where he looks at some of my products and he gives me his expert advice on whether or not I should buy them. And yeah, see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
Peace. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.